Sylvia made up his mind. He would walk south through Kenya. He did not know what he would find once he got there, but it seemed to be his best choice. Crowd of other boys followed him. Nobody talked about it, but the end of the first day, Sylvia had become the leader of a group of about 1,500 boys. Some were as young as 5 years old. Those small boys reminded Sylvia of his brother Keol, but then he had an astonished tooth. Keol isn't that age anymore. He is a teenager now. Sylvia found that he could only think of his brother and sister as they were when he had last seen them, not as they would be now. They were traveling through a part of Sudan still plagued by war. The fighting and bombing were worse during the day, so Sylvia decided that the group should hide when the sun shone and do their walking at night. But in the darkness, it was hard to be sure they were headed in the right direction. Sometimes the boy traveled for days only to realize that they had gone in a hug circle. This happened so many times that Sylvia lost count. They met other group of boys, all walking south. Every group had stories of terrible burial, boy who had been hurt or killed by bolt or bomb, attacked by wild animals, or left behind because they were too weak or sick to keep up. When Sylvia heard the story, he thought of Maria. He felt his determination growing as it had in the after uncle's death. I will get us safely to Kenya, he thought, no matter how hard it is. He organized the group, giving everyone a job, scavenge for food, collect firewood, stand guard while the group slept. Whatever food or water they found was shared equal among all of them. When the smaller boy grew too tired to walk, the older boy took turns carrying them on their backs. There were times when some of the boys did not want to do their share of the work. Sylvia would talk to them, encourage them, coax and burst them. Once in a while he had to speak sternly or even shoot, but he tried not to do this too often. It was as if Sylvia's family were helping him, even though they were not there. He remembered how he had looked after his little brother Keol, but he also knew what it felt like to have to listen to the older one. Arika and ring, and he could recall the gentleness of his sister, the stranger of his father, the care of his mother. Most of all, he remembered how uncle had encouraged him in the desert. one step at a time, only at a time. Just this day, to get truth. Sylvia told himself this every day. He told the boy in the group too, and one day at a time the group made its way to Kenya. More than 1,200 boys arrived safely. It took them a year and a half. Sylvia was now 22 years old. For the past 5 years he had been living in revenge camp in northern Kenya, first at the Kakuma camp, then at Ifo. Kakuma had been a dreadful place, isolated in the middle of a dry, windy desert. 10 fans of birds were enclosed the camp. You weren't allowed to leave unless you were leaving for good. It felt almost like a person. 7,000 people lived at Kakuma. Some said it was more, 8 or 9,000. There were families who had managed. The local people who lived in the air did not like having the refugees camp nearby. They would often sneak in and steal from the refugees. Sometimes fights broke out and people were hurt or killed. After 2 years of misery at Kakuma, Sylvia decided to leave the camp. He had heard of another refugee camp far to the south and west, where he hoped things would be better. Once again Sylvia and a few other young men walked for months, but when they reached the camp at Efio, they found that things were no different than at Kakuma. Everyone was always hungry, and there was never enough food. Many were sick or had gotten injured during their long, terrible journey to reach the camp. The few medical volunteers called not care for everyone who needed help. Sylvia felt fortunate that at last he was in good health. He wanted desperately to work to make a little money that he could use to buy extra food. He even dreamed of saving some money so that one day he could leave the camp and continue his education somehow. But there was no work, there was nothing to do but wait for the next meal, for news of the world outside the camp. The days were long and empty. They stretched into weeks, then months, then years. It was hard to keep a hope alive when there was so little to feed it. Michelle was an idea of worked from a country called Ireland. Sylvia had met a lot of hard works the camp and want, staying at the camp for several weeks or at most a few months. The hard works come from many different country, but they usually spoke English to each other. Few of the reviewers spoke English, so communication with the aid work was often difficult. But after so many years in the camp, Sylvia could discern a little English. He even tried to speak it once a while, and Michelle almost always seemed to understand what Sylvia was trying to say. One day after the morning meal, Michel spoke to Sylvia. "You seem interested in learning English," he said. "How would you like to learn to read?" The lesson began that very day. Michel wrote down 3 letters on a small script